What's going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another video. So today's video is what is the best statue created by each of the licensed companies. And this is whether I own the statue or not, just what I believe is their absolute best piece of work they've ever done. So, and we're not going to include life-size statues. That's like a different category. So we're not going to include, like, we will include busts, but not like a full-blown life-size. Like, if we're talking Queen Studios, we're not talking any of their life-size Iron Man, their life-size Hulk Buster, which is just insane. We're just going to talk what, the average collector could get. Like, for example, a Captain America bust. Your normal collector could collect that, but very few collectors will actually get like a $12,000 life-size Iron Man or that $70,000 Hulk Buster. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start with Queen. In my opinion, Thanos bust is the best collectible they've ever made, Queen Studios. I would say the only contender would probably be the Queen T-Rex bust, but I still think Thanos overall is superior. I believe he is the best thing they have ever created. Without a doubt, Thanos is my numero uno from Queen Studios. When it comes to Infinity Studios, now, if we're going to include pre-orders, I would argue that their Neytiri bust is the best thing they've ever done. I think that's the best thing that Infinity Studios has ever created. But we're not going to include pre-orders. It has to be a released item because that's a prototype. It's not a production unit. So if we're going to go ahead and do production, the best thing by Infinity is not Sauron, but it's Khaleesi. Khaleesi's my favorite collectible by Infinity Studios. They fixed the likeness issue that was on her originally, and just made her look overall better. They nailed it in production. The dragons look phenomenal. She is absolutely gorgeous and just such a beautiful all-around piece, and just visually the best looking thing that they've come out with, in my opinion. I think it looks better than Infinity Wonder Woman or any of my other silicone busts. I like it more than Sauron. Sauron definitely has the overall presence, but she is overall more detailed and visually more appealing to me. So I believe that Khaleesi is the best collectible that Infinity Studios has ever done. Next up will be ECC Cinemaquette. For that one, I still got to give it to the Cinemaquette Predator. I still think this is the best statue they've ever created. I'm a huge fan of this piece. It's a masterpiece, grail. I own pretty much all their 1/3 and life-size busts, all the best ones. And I would still put this Predator as my favorite. I freaking love this thing to death. So this is still their best piece to date, in my opinion. When it comes to Sideshow collectibles, I would give it to Wolf Predator. I think this is the best piece that Sideshow's ever created. Third scale Wolf Predator lunging off an alien. Great detail, mixed media, swap out portrait, swap out weapon with the spear. This piece is the best thing that Sideshow Collectibles has ever done, in my opinion. Second best would probably be Thanos on Throne. I remember, that piece is definitely truly amazing, but it still can't touch a candle to that Wolf Predator, in my opinion. Alrighty, now, when it comes to PCS, it's got to be Goro 1/3. That's their best piece for me. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of this piece. If I was to do a second piece that's the best that they would have done, I would say it would be the Blade statue I own. That thing is just truly amazing and just crazy good statue. But overall, Goro is their best piece to date. Fantastic all-around detail, monstrously big, great base. It's a phenomenal piece. Mixed media with like leather and fur. It's truly a masterpiece. So this is the best one by Pop Culture Shock, or I guess Premium Collectible Studios, since they changed their name. While we're at it, we might as well just throw, KD Collectibles in the mix. But his best piece to date, I would say, is probably Prime 1 Vegeta. I'm sorry, Vegeta Bust. I'm looking at Prime 1 Vegeta. Vegeta Bust is probably his best piece to date. I would say Goku Bust, but it's missing the second half of his arm, so I can't do that. If we're going to go to Sume, It's got to be Frieza. I think that's the best piece they've done. You know, I don't collect a lot of their other lines, but, you know, just visually looking at all their statues they've ever created, I think Frieza is the best thing that Sume has ever created. So, yeah. Now, when it comes to Prime 1 Studios, you know, they are the ones that I collect the most from. But you guys know what the best piece is, or do you? It's obviously in this room. And it's honestly got to be a toss-up between Jetwing Optimus, really Shockwave, and Godzilla vs. Kong. I would say, you know, those are the three best pieces that they've ever created. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong is technically two statues. I mean, yes, you buy it as one and they connect, but I mean, it is so impressive, it's not even funny. But Shockwave, oh my gosh. Jetwing Optimus, I mean, it's got to be Jetwing. Jetwing has to be the best piece they've created. You know, the dynamic flying pose, the crazy good base, the presence, the detail. This thing is just unfreaking beatable, folks. So, Prime 1's best piece, Jetwing Optimus. Close second would have to be Godzilla vs. Kong and Shockwave. The studio may be out of business after scamming lots of people, but Chronicle Collectibles' best piece, no doubt, is the Raptor bust. Not even close. They did a really good job on this Raptor bust. Most of the other pieces, honestly, I think are terrible, but they did a great job on the Raptor bust. So, got to give them props there at least. Now, a few other studios, of which, you know, like I don't have their best piece, but I do own some of their collectibles. I would say would be Hollywood Collectible Group, HCG. So HCG, I think their best piece that they've ever made would have to be their life-size Queen Alien wall mount. That thing is huge and it looks great. You know, most of their pieces really lack on like paint app, but the sculpts are good. But that one looks really good. I would say that's their best piece. When it comes to Weta Workshop, based off everything I've seen, I would say probably Treebeard is the best piece they've ever done. You know, I know a lot of people rave about it. I've never seen it in person, but that thing was like, what, 4 feet tall and just super detailed and just looked all around great. You know, best piece I've owned from them has got to be Azog on Warg. That was a sick piece. And for those of you who probably don't know some of these statues I'm talking about, I'll just show you. So this is the HCG Queen Alien. It's a wall mount. That thing is humongous. You know, you can Google it. It's, you know, it's a pretty sick looking piece. Like here's Mr. X when he reviewed it. And then this is the Weta Treebeard. You can see it's like the size of half this dude. So it's a pretty crazy thing. Let's see, that's obviously a smaller version. Yeah, here's a Weta Masters Collection Treebeard. Look at that, that looks great. Yeah, a lot of people rave about this piece, and I know it goes for like thousands of dollars. I do remember, yeah, when it was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con, people were just raving about it. Like, look at that, that is just insane. A 1/6 scale Treebeard. Insane. Alrighty, now let's talk XM Studios. So I would give it a toss-up between two pieces. Now, of course, my personal preference, since I'm not a comic collector, I would say the, you know, XM Alien. Guys, I mean, that's a concept piece, but most of the stuff they do is comic book, which I'm just not the biggest fan of. I just don't think that looks as good. But if we are going to base it off, you know, what I believe is probably the best work of art they've ever done, I'd probably say it's the Maestro. This version B with all the like little heads and everything. This thing I know costs like a fortune, but everyone raves about just how great this piece is. So I'd say that is probably their best piece. I really did like XM Ghost Rider. I love that piece. I think it's great. But XM Alien is better than Ghost Rider. And overall, I still think the Alien's probably their best piece. But based off feedback from everyone, you know, because I'm a little against comic, but that Maestro is what I would say is probably their best piece, though. Alrighty, now we'll talk about a few other small studios. So, gaming heads. Now, I've sold all my gaming head statues. They're pretty much kind of out of business at this point, as far as I'm aware. But I would say the Clicker 1/4 was their best piece they've ever made. That thing actually was like really good detail. I really liked it. They did like real moss in the face. So I thought they did an excellent job. It was a little underscaled, but it was a great looking piece. The pose was awesome. Second to this would have to be the Kratos bust. You know, I thought they did an excellent sculpt, and it was a great bust all around, just obviously lacking glass eyes and real hair. But I did love the Kratos bust. Alrighty, next would be First Four Figures. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of the company, not a fan of the owners. I think they're douchebags. Their statues, they're decent, but they're typically underscaled and overpriced, in my opinion. And in general, they're just not even close to as good as Prime 1. But of all the statues I've seen and owned, Snake was my favorite. I think Snake's the best piece they've done. He was pretty overall, good detail, paint app. I like the pose. He was underscaled, but it was an overall great statue. And I think that's the best thing they've done so far. Beats out any of their Zelda or other video games they've done. So I think Snake is the best thing they've come out with. Alrighty, next would be J&D. So J&D, I think it's pretty obvious what their best collectible is. It's Wonder Woman, you know. So Wonder Woman, the one I own, she's the best thing they've created. Best likeness, best all-around detail. They're, first of their Platinum series, and I think she's the best of any of the pre-orders they have as well. I still think she beats out Harley Quinn and any other pre-order. I do think, though, Khaleesi has the potential to top her, same with Stellar Blade. Eve. Those are the only two potential, but it'd be really hard for them to beat out Wonder Woman because she is so incredibly well done. Alrighty, next will be Iron Studios. I've owned a lot of Iron Studios statues. I still do. Sold some. I'm a fan of the company. They provide excellent Marvel quarter scale statues. They've done a lot of other, statues. They've never gotten into life-size busts or anything. I mean, their greatest pieces really are their quarter scale. But, I mean, I would say if we're talking just like a singular statue, not like a diorama, I would give it to Thanos. This version, actually. I still like this one better than the other one because it has a better paint app, better pose. This one does have the better costume, but this one has a better base, pose, the Infinity Gauntlet, like accurate to the movie. Better paint app, but it's, really they're kind of like tied in my opinion, but really their Thanos 1/4 is their best single statue they've ever done. Now, if we're going to talk just overall, I think the best thing Iron Studios has done to date, most impressive, is the X-Men Dio, this one. Although technically we got to talk like all three, because they actually did make like 3 of them, like where they all connect. I watched Jim Mint's video on that. He had all 3 of them with all the proximity pieces. Although he sold that, I don't know why. I'm like, dude, those are so good. I think this is the most impressive thing they've done. I know it's only 1/10 scale, but this is still like massive pieces and so many characters and very highly detailed. So I think this is the most impressive thing they've ever done. All right, let's talk Tweeterhead. Now, I don't collect Tweeterhead. I've only gotten one of their pieces, and it was the Pennywise. It was okay, but it was just too small. If it was quarter scale or third scale, I probably would have kept it. But, they're kind of like a C-level company for me, just like not super impressive. But of everything they've released, I would say this is the best thing that they've ever done. The Joker on throne quarter scale statue. I think this one looks the best of anything they've ever collected. It's a pretty big piece, 26 inches tall, 20 inches wide. So it's a pretty big piece, and I think this is the best thing that they've ever done. Alrighty, now let's talk Pure Arts. So I've owned a few of their pieces. They're also kind of like a C-level company, in my opinion, not like super, super amazing, but they do some good work. Like I really like those Terminators right there. They're pretty freaking cool. I do like some of their Assassin's Creed statues. Their Michael Jackson, the face always it's like kind of off, and it was a weird looking. It wasn't bad looking though, but I think of everything just visually what they've done, the best looking piece has either got to be the Ezio quarter scale, from Assassin's Creed, or the Liquor bust. I do like this Liquor bust quite a bit. I sold mine because I didn't have space at the time. However, if I could go back, I probably would have kept this because I do have space now. I could throw it like behind my Resident Evil 2 diorama on like a stand. But I do like this liquor bust. I think it's fantastic. It looks great. So I would say this is probably the best thing that Pure Arts has ever done. All right, next would be Blitzway. For Blitzway, I would say the Khaleesi quarter scale is their best piece they've ever done. Beats out any other Blitzway statue I've owned and seen in person. She is absolutely gorgeous. She herself is beautiful. The dragons and the whole base, the whole scene, just really create something truly special. So this, to me, is the best Blitzway product ever made. Now, all the other studios are kind of just like, they're not even worth mentioning, honestly. So that's all the true major ones. We're not talking Hot Toys. But yeah, that's pretty much, in my opinion, what I think are probably the best statues out there from each of these companies. Of course, there's a lot of custom statues out there as well. Endless name of custom studios. But from when it comes to licensed companies, plus we included KD, this is what I think are the best out there. Now, if you guys have a different opinion and you think a different statue is better, let me know in the comments below. What do you think is the best statue from each of these companies? Do you agree with my, options, or do you think something else that maybe I didn't think of is better? Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.